It's nice to have all of you here. My name's Linda Smith, and I'll be trying to help you learn how to do an adventure club. But if you don't mind, I'd like to start with prayer first. Dear Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for this beautiful Sabbath and this beautiful place we can be. We ask you to please be here with us today. Please send your Holy Spirit and speak through me, dear Jesus. Please give me the words to say that these people need to hear, and help it to not be my words, but the words you put in my mouth. We love you, Jesus, and we know how much these children mean to you, and please guide us, direct us. We know you're coming soon, and please help us to have these children ready to meet you in the kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, once again, my name's Linda Smith, and this is my husband, Carl. And we were involved in Adventure Club for 10 years before we became coordinators. 10 of those years we were directors. Can you take one there? We were directors. And it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. So that's what I'm here for today, is to help you and to see what I can do to make your year easier. And a couple questions I wanted to start out with. How many of you, this is your very first year of ever being a director? So quite a number then. How many of you have, although you haven't been a director, you know something about Adventure Club because maybe you've had a child in it, or maybe you've been a class counselor? How many of you knew nothing about Adventure Club till you became a director? And this is your very first year of being a director, of having Adventure Club, or the whole thing. Okay, well, we're gonna make this as easy as we can today. And what we're gonna do is I've given you a handout, and I'm gonna try to stick by that as much as I can, but I'm also gonna deviate off some and show you some different slides and some different things, you know, that I brought to show you. But the very first thing is, of course, you're asked by your church board and your pastors if you'll be the new director. And so when you do that and you accept, then the first thing you'll want to do is go on the conference website, and you'll want to fill out the yearly application form. And you'll put your name in there and your pastor's name, and then you'll take that to the church board, and you'll present that to the church board, and then your pastor will sign it, and several of the church board members will sign it. And then your first official duty is to get that fax to the conference. Or you could always mail it. Keep a copy for yourself because things can get lost in the mail. But you know, faxing is probably the best thing. And then once you fax that, you'll get information. You'll get an information packet from the conference. They'll give you your past information to go online and use their online program, and has helpful hints in it. And also there is a web video that's online that tells you how to use the conference website. So if you start going in there and you think, oh man, I'm so confused, I don't know where to go next. What does this mean? What does that mean? Well, there is a video cam that you can go on and you can watch, and it will explain exactly how every screen works in that program. So that would be your first thing that you want to do, is to get your club registered. They like your club to be registered by the end of May, but sometimes you don't even know who the director is going to be by the end of May. So, and then your next thing is the shield. You'll want to get your shield filled out, the form that the conference, and if you haven't ever done that, or you have a lot of questions about that, Lori will be teaching a seminar today, and you may want to take that in, and she makes it very clear how to, go through it and everything. But I'll just kind of, for those of you that aren't going to go, when you do this shield, it's kind of two sections. The first section you do, it's probably 10 minutes, and it's basically giving the permission for them to run a background check on you. And so do that, and make sure you complete that whole step before you stop. Because if you work into it for, do part of it, then you say, oh, I've got to go pick the kids up at school. Well, when you come back, you'll have to start all over. So it's very short, that first part, so make sure you complete that whole first part. The second part is where you do the role playing and you do the scenarios. You'll read different scenarios and answer different questions. That's probably I'd say a good hour and a half, depending on, your own pace. You don't have to do that all at once. You can start that and stop it, and it will save that for you. So whenever you go back in, it will start you back at the very same exact location. So those are the two things, your application and get your shield going. Those are the first two things you'll want to do. And then you're going to want to select your staff. Maybe, how many of your clubs this year, it's the very first year for your church to have a club? Okay, so you didn't have the opportunity then of having some staff come over from last year. You're starting all the way from the ground floor. And even if the club's been, in for a number of years, sometimes staff, they rotate out and you're still looking for staff. But those brand new clubs, that is a little bit extra work for you, but you can do it. There's several different things you may want to think about. You may want to get an awards officer. And what an awards officer would do is they would do all your award ordering for you from Advent Source. That would take a lot of burden off of you because you've got a lot to do just being director, doing a lot of other things without having to worry about ordering. And what the girl that did it for me when she was the awards officer, she would order the awards. And then we had a system, which I will show you later, with cards. And each counselor would fill out a card for each adventurer of what it would have their name on it. It would have the name of the award, the date that the award was completed, and who the instructor for the award was. And then when the children finished that award, they would turn those cards into a box. They'd rubber band them up, put them in what we had. We had a box set up. It was just covered and it said award box. And the counselors would take those cards and put them in the award box. Then the award officer would take those cards out and she would order the awards, and then she would staple them onto those cards. And then the next week in worship, or maybe the following week, depending on if she had enough of the awards on hand, we would call the children up during worship and she would present them with their awards. Now, some clubs wait until investiture to give the awards. I know that's how our Pathfinder Club does, and I think a lot of Pathfinders clubs do that. But in a venture club, remember the kids are younger and they're so excited to get something on that sash. So we gave them the awards weekly because it encourages them, especially the ones that are in school all day, then they're in a venture club all in the evening. They want to see that they're earning something that they can visibly see because they're little and they don't think of the future. Oh yeah, at investiture, I'm going to get a whole bag or a whole string of awards or honors. So think of that, and we found it best to pass them out on a weekly basis. The kids were so excited to get them. And when you hook them to those little cards, and you can make up your own little card, they're very excited because they get something and they don't drop it. If you just hand them the award, they'll put it in their pocket, it will fall on the floor, it will never get home, it will never be on their sash. But hooked to the little card, stapled, it gets home to mom and dad. And oftentimes when the kids get them, when they're still sitting down before they go off to their rooms, you might want to say, go hand your mom and dad the award, then that way for sure it's going to get home. So, and also another thing that the awards officer can do, they can take care of your uniforms. Now, some of you newer clubs, you may not be wanting to spend the money this year to actually buy the uniforms and rent them out. Our club, it was a pretty well-established club. It had been there for a while, so somebody had donated money that uniforms were purchased, and so we had a big wardrobe thing, and we had all the uniforms hanging up in there, and so we would rent them, $5 for the shirt, $5 for the jumper, and most of the little boys just had blue pants. I mean, I wouldn't even invest in blue pants if it was me, because most kids have blue pants. But the little girls' jumpers and the boys' shirts and the little girls' shirts, they outgrow them so fast that oftentimes parents don't really want to, buy them. So we had them and rented them. But for you clubs that are new, you may not even want to go with the dress uniform this year because, money's probably tight. Some new clubs just go with the club t-shirt. And you can just go with that and just let them wear that, and then maybe the next year. Or you could just tell parents to buy a blue skirt and a white shirt at, Old Navy has them, Target has them, somewhere inexpensive. But if you're going to make it a thing where you want them all to be exactly alike, like you could see in the picture, the little girl's jumper and the blue shirts, you buy those from Advent Source. And if you can purchase them and then rent them, You eventually will make your money back at renting them $5 a piece, but that's just totally up to you and what your budget is for that. But the awards officer also was in charge of sewing the patches on, the ones that we purchased. And that was nice because then the patches all get sewn on in the exact same space. If you send them home with parents, sometimes they're on the wrong arm, or one's way down here, one's way up there. So it's nice if you have somebody that can do that. Also, when the year's over, I would give my award officer a book, and it would have all subdividers in, and then and it would have sheets in for each child. And then at the end of the year, the children would bring the uniforms back, get a ticket so they could go to the final program, the play thing. And then she would be responsible for checking in those uniforms, and then she would launder them, or we'd all take a bag home. But she would be responsible for having them all ready for the next year. That does take a lot of pressure off of you if you choose to buy your own uniforms, if you don't have to do all that on your own. So your awards officer, you know, if they say, oh, that's too much, I just want to do the awards, I don't want to keep up with the uniform, maybe you could find a parent that would be willing to be the uniform officer and help you keep up with all your uniforms. Another thing that you might want to think about having as you're forming your club is a secretary. In all honesty, I never had one when I was director, because basically what the secretary would do, they would do your conference reports for you. I preferred to do my own because then I knew they were done. And you know, you want to get those in. There are deadlines for getting them in, and they're so simple to do. You just basically go online, and once you enroll your children for the first time, then every year after that, you just roll them over. And you only have to enter the new. First year, you have to enter all of them. But after that, you roll them over. There's a click of the button, and then you only have to add in the new kids on the conference website, because the other ones are already there, and it automatically moved them up to their next group that they're going to be in. But and then on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, however often you're meeting, you would do a report for the conference so that they know what you're accomplishing at each of your meetings. And but like I said, you could, if you're not a computer person and you think, oh, I just don't want to get on the computer and do that, then you could appoint a secretary that would do that. But it's very easy. They've made it very uncomplicated, and it only takes a few minutes, because you basically go through and you check the boxes for the attendance of the kids that were there, and a box for if they were in the correct uniform. And then there's another area where you just write a little bit about what you did. I used to just write, Busy Bees did this honor, Sunbeams did this honor, you know, and that's it, and you save it. So it's really quite uncomplicated, and it's very easy. And so, you know, but that is an option to have a secretary to do that for you if you prefer that. And then another thing is the treasurer. If you want somebody to take up the money before an event, you're still, you know, over the budget. You know, you're still the one that controls the budget and decides how much, you know, each group can spend and what goes on with your money. But what it means by a treasurer, it's nice at registration if you have somebody who's sitting at the treasurer's table, because you're so busy as a director that night, just organizing everything and making sure everything's running smooth and keeping track of everything, that you don't really have time to be the one sitting there taking up the money. So if you have a treasurer, they can sit there and they can just, usually what I had for my treasurer, I had what the cost was for the Eager Beavers, and I had what the cost was for the adventurers. This was something that I could hand out to the parents. This was like their receipt. You know, our fee was $55 a year. Our uniform rental was $5 for the top, $5 for the dress, so, you know, depending. And so, and then the accessories, we charged $5 for the t-shirt, we charged $5 for the award sash, and the slide, it was a combined thing. And, well, let me see. The award sash was $5, and then the scarf and slide was $7. And so this let the parents know exactly, this is what our treasurer would just hand to them. And then this was the sheet that our treasurer did, and she put it in her treasurer book. I provided her every year a notebook with a spine that, you know, had the year on it, and said treasurer with the Adventure Club seal on the front. And then I provided her with dividers so she could subdivide it according to how she wanted to, whether it was by family name or whatever. And she would have a sheet like this for each of her kids. And I think, let me go here and show you guys. Oh. If anybody brought a flash drive, with them, I can, let's see. I can put all of this on your flash drive for you at the end of the class. If you didn't bring a flash drive with you, you can give me your email address and I can email you all these attachments, whatever will make it easier for you. But this is what it looks like. So it would have the date, you know, the year. Obviously, that was my last year being a director, so sorry the year's off a little, but that would have the date that the treasurer took the stuff up, the last name, the number of children they had in the club, how many of them were eager beavers, how many of them were adventurers. That particular year we didn't have little lambs, but now, you know, little lambs, eager beavers, they're all considered part of Adventure Club, so you don't have to really have anything separate because they're all going to wear the maroon scarf. There's no more of the blue scarf and the green scarf. It's all the same scarf, which will save the parents money, and they're all going to wear the same clothes. It used to be that the eager beavers wore white shirts and the adventurers wore blue shirts. Now they're all going to be wearing the same shirt and the same little jumper. So, but we had a place where she would put club due, how many kids were in it, what the total amount was they owed, then the uniform rental, if they the shirt or the blouse, and how many in the total, the uniform, pants and jumper, and then the t-shirts, how many they wanted, the scarf, the slide, the ward sash, and then she would total that up, and she would keep track of this, how much cash they paid her, what the check was, and what was received. And then that way she would have a record, and what she would do, a lot of people paid at the beginning of the year, but you know, as luck has it, school starts, Adventure Club starts, Pathfinder starts, and it's hard for parents. So if somebody couldn't pay it all up front, we would just have them pay what they could that night, and then they would just pay as you know they could. They would make payments, and our treasurer would send little letters out. But it was nice to have somebody sitting there that would take up the money. And also it's nice when you have events because you're busy answering questions, but they can sit there and they can take up the money and, you know, for the events. Yes?
The dues, is it like a requirement for adventures?
For what?
The dues, is it like a requirement for the club?
It just, that's up to you. It depends on how much money you want to have to operate. Our church gave us a certain amount per child per month. It's not a lot, but every little bit helps. But the dues do help you be able to do more outside events and things like that.
You see, last year we did the dues. We did $45 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the complication we had was that once the parents pay the dues, they don't want to pay no more money for anything else that goes on in the year. And that was not enough to do the we have to do. So this year I decided no dues, we just pay as you go. Basically, if we're gonna go to the aquarium, it's $50. We'll say, okay, you pay half of it, we pay the other half, or you know, if you can pay the whole thing, fine. But we need help, we'll help them. That's what I kind of come to. But
Right.
that's why I was kind of wondering if it's mandatory and we just have to do
Oh, no, it's not mandatory. It's really up to you if you want to have dues or not. You know, we tried to keep our functions very low priced. Now, when we went to the aquarium, we did offer a fundraiser because that was $50 a person. But yeah, but we tried to, you know, keep some things we didn't charge anything for. A few things we would charge $5 for, but it was pretty minimum. The biggest thing that we charged for was the aquarium or the Discovery Museum, or you know, something that was really costly like that. But we always provided a fundraiser. Some parents would rather pay themselves, but some people just can't. So the only way that they can go is to have a fundraiser. So that's why we, you know, that's why we would do that. And we'll talk more about events and how we did that as we go along. But yeah, So, and then your pastor, that's another thing. Obviously, it will be your youth pastor. And keep in mind with your youth pastor, don't be too hard on him if he can't come to everything, because remember, he's a youth pastor for the church and for Pathfinders and for everything else. So, but you know, a lot of times our youth pastor, he was great. He would come bring his guitar and play it every week, and you know, that was a really nice thing. So that's what your pastor normally is. And then your support staff. If you have a person that's been a seasoned person in your club, but maybe they just don't want to be a counselor, you know, maybe they'll be a support staff, which means they're like a floater counselor. So if one of your counselors are out, they can fill in. I had a girl that did that, and she had taught just about every award. And so it was nice, because if somebody couldn't be there, boom, she was ready to step right in, even at the last minute. If somebody caught up, something happened, I can't come, it's 10 minutes before Adventure Club starts, and you know, she would go right in there and fill in and take care of that. So it's nice. That's if you're able to do that, especially the clubs that are just starting. Don't feel like you have to do any of this. Just pick and choose. And remember, your first few years, it takes a while to build your club. So don't feel like, oh no, I'm never going to have enough staff. You will, but it takes time. And then, of course, you have your counselors for each group, your Little Lambs, your Eager Beavers, your Busy Bee, your Sunbeam Builders, and Helping Hands. It's nice if you can have a counselor and a co-counselor. That's the best, because they can work together on things. And also, if both of them can't be there every night, they can alternate, if, you know, kind of work their schedules around that. But once again, that's not an absolute must that you have to do. That's just, it's nice if you can do that. It works out very nice. And then another really important thing to a successful year is to kind of get your thoughts together of what you're going to be expected, you know, from your staff, and what you yourself are going to be doing, and have a staff meeting in the summer early on, and kind of start bouncing your ideas off, you know, to your staff of what you're thinking about. And what I always did is I would do a letter for my class counselors. We would have a meeting, and we would talk about everything. But I just felt like it was courteous to them to put it in a little letter, and I would put it in the front of their notebook, because I would take a 3-ring binder, not this big, believe me, but like a 2-inch or a 3-inch, and I would do a spine for them that would say Busy Bees or Sunbeams, whatever they were. Then I'd put the thing on the front, and then inside of it, I would put a lot of materials to help them out. And we'll talk about that later in the seminar as well. But for now, I would put that letter in the book so they could refer to it. Because, you know, you kind of forget as you go along. And some of the things, you know, I would just remind them of different things they may want to remind the parents about as the year went by, like to keep the kids from getting behind. And the things that there are certain things that the children basically have to do at home, like their memory work. That's nice if the parents are on board and the counselors can remind the parents. We did try to do a lot of our memory work in the classroom. We really did, because we tried not to ever send anything home, but there's a few things you almost have to send home, like the My Quiet Time with Jesus, because that's something that they're supposed to do themselves at home. And if you look in the books, like Power in My Life, every year it gets a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. This is Busy Bees, and it's just where they have their little time with Jesus every day. And we would tell them, when you have your time with Jesus at home every morning, because you want them to start forming a habit of their own individual worship, because if they'll start as young children, then they'll carry that through their whole adult life, hopefully. So we would tell them, we'd say, just put a sticker on it if you're a real sticker person, or if you love to color, every day color a square, or if you're a real drawer, draw yourself a picture of what your Bible reading was about that day. But that was the one thing that we would send home. And so I would put in my class counselor letter for the counselor, remind the kids, remind the parents about that. And that was just kind of something there. Also, depending on what your budget is, most people want to be reimbursed for things that they buy to teach honors with. So you may want to mention right up front to them in your meeting, as well as in the letter, if they're going to spend over whatever dollar amount you choose, that they talk to you about it first. Because one year, I had a counselor that, well, I had said all that, and I'd sent the letter out and everything, but for some reason she had a pretty big group of kids that year. She decided to do this real elaborate award, and I mean, whoa, she brought me the receipts. I didn't say anything because what are you going to say at that point? I think I may have said something like, oh, okay, sure, I'll reimburse you, but hey, next time if you don't mind, check with me, because it was like a lot of money. And so just make sure they know, hey, if you need to go spend $10 on an award or something, that's okay, just bring me your receipt. But if you're going to go like this lady did, well over 100, you might want to set a limit to what you want them to check with you, because they could eat your budget pretty fast, especially new clubs, like that. And just anything that you feel that you want, your class counselors to be aware of. One thing that I put in the letter from my class counselor was our method of how we were going to turn in for honors. I was telling you about the box that we had that was our awards box. Did I say honors? Sorry, I do Pathfinders too, so just ignore me if I say honors. But we had an awards box, and so what we had the card system, and they knew, to fill out the card for each child that completed it. The biggest thing I asked them is not to, if you have one child who's fallen behind because they've been out a lot, don't hold everybody else's honor cards till that child finishes. Turn them in as soon as the honor's over. If you have 10 kids in your unit and 8 of them are done, turn in for those 8. Keep the other 2 kids' cards so it's a reminder to you that they need to finish up. But don't hold all the other kids back from getting their honor because you have a couple kids that maybe didn't. And just let your class counselors know that, because there have been times where some of them wouldn't turn anything in till everybody was finished. And then all the other kids are sitting at worship and they're all getting their honors, and this patch of kids are sitting there saying, wow, I know I finished mine. I wonder why I'm not getting mine. So, and it's also an encouragement to the kids who don't finish. It gives them a little encouragement. Oh man, I want to get my honor, so I'm going to hurry up and finish up. So just things like that you can list. Your counselors will appreciate it. And I'll tell you what I found through the years. The more organized you can be to help your counselors, the more likely you are that those counselors will stay with you their whole way through a venture club. If you kind of, if you do the prep work for them, you get them the book made up, you let them make sure that they know you appreciate them, and that they know what to expect to you, and you know what to expect to them, they'll appreciate you. And don't dump too much on them, because if you do, then they're going to be so overwhelmed too. So just try to be their helper as well, because they're definitely your helper. And the more you can do for them to make their job nice and organized, the more likely you are that they'll want to stay on and do, another year with you. So that takes care of that part. And then your yearly schedule, that's a big thing. That's something that you'll want to get going pretty quick. What I would kind of do with that is I would give myself, we usually finished in April, the first part of April, because we tried to get done before baseball season, because once baseball season starts, you lose so many kids, it makes it kind of hard. So I would give myself till the end of April, a couple weeks off, and then 1st of May I would start my planning for the next year, because you kind of want to get that planning in, because things book up quickly. When I'm just sitting at my house, I can find these things real easy. But when what? Oh, right there. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what you'll want to keep in mind is, first of all, I should ask you, how many people do you have in your club? How many kids?
Right now, I have like 22.
22?
I have like 10.
10?
Around 20.
20? 20? And
5.
5? That's okay. That's a start. And you guys?
Well, we have about 24 kids available, and this is our first start to everything. So we're just getting started, getting organized, so we can get everything out there and know how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But we have a potential for a large group.
That's good. Yeah. How many do you have?
We got a team, but my problem is
Oh.
Me and my wife's doing it all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're meeting in a room like this while the Pathfinders was over here, and so we meet on the same night. What it was, we had more little guys than there was Pathfinders, so
Oh.
we kind of got, would you guys like to do this? We prayed about it, but then nobody wanted to help, so here we are. We're kind of killing ourselves getting all this together.
I can believe that, yeah. Well, maybe you can combine some honors. Don't, like you can maybe do for, combine some honors, especially the younger kids, and then combine like your Busy Bees and your Sunbeam, pick honors for them, and Builders and Helping Hands together. And then that way, that would at least, you each could divide and conquer, take, 2 groups and do it like that.
Is that a workbook you have there that you showed for?
This is my original book that has all my originals in. Yeah.
The little book you held up.
Oh, these? Yeah, these are each of the books. This is for the Busy Bees. This is for the Sunbeams, the Builders, and the Helping Hands. They have different requirements, and what they mean by requirements is just the little things at the beginning of each honor. But then they have specific honors for Busy Bees, Sunbeam, Builders, and Helping Hands. But if you're in a situation like you are, and there's only 2 people, and you've got 10 children, you're going to have to probably do some combining at least your first year. And then as you get your kids up front, it's going to take off, and you'll probably be able to pick up some help.
We have the 3 ring binder with all this stuff in it,
Uh-huh.
but we're making so many copies.
Oh, yeah, you can go to an ABC and get these, or just order them from Advent Source. They come real fast. Like, I'm surprised. Yeah, a few days and you'll have them, yeah. So,
They're not expensive either.
no, they're very inexpensive, yeah, and they're very fast. So, oh yeah, how many do you have?
Oh, about
20?
20.
Wow, everybody's got pretty good. And yours?
From what I understand, we have 60.
16, okay.
60.
60? Then you're going to want a book like this. Yeah. And yours? Or are you with her, I guess?
Yes.
And yours?
Well, we have registered them.
Oh, okay, okay,
We have about 35
30?
last year.
okay.
And I don't think I had that, but I got the electronic copy.
Oh, all right.
I shared that with all the counselors.
So they can print off what
500
they,
pages, 525 pages.
oh, for the, you mean for the NAD manual?
The manual.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
good. I just emailed to every counselor. And they can
Okay. And they can kind of pick their own.
Right, they can pick and find what they need. What I
Alright.
did was, we had a Facebook page, and I only invite those people that are members to
Mhm.
join, and we post information in meetings.
Okay.
And I have like an email account created just for the club.
Mhm.
So if I step over to the next row, then somebody come up and can take over, and just have all the history of the email.
All right.
And whatever order it shows up there.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
But we have like 35-ish kids. But like their club, it's hard to get anybody to help.
I know. And the sad thing is, what Adventure Club's really formed for, it's a parent-child club. It's to build the family unit. It's not like Pathfinders where you drop your kids off. It's made to build the family unit and to increase the family unit and to bring them closer together, and then families to meet other families. It's not a babysitting service. Now, I know at our church, we require parents to stay, at least one parent to stay.
But they don't want to.
They don't want to help. Yeah.
We are also
Yep.
staff, and there are staff that want to teach, but they don't feel comfortable teaching.
Right.
They'd rather co-share teacher. So
Yeah.
I like teaching the little lamb and the eager beaver, and with the parents involved, so they can kind of warm
Kind of
up to it.
help.
Yeah.
And maybe they will as they come and see that it's doable.
Eventually later, I want to transition over to them.
Right.
If they have
Yeah.
two kids and they come actively, but they just don't want to teach.
Wow. Yeah,
challenge,
it is a challenge.
And it's hard to get all the dad involved. It's always the mommy there, but there's no daddy there.
Yeah.
I see more guys,
It's true. And how many do you have?
I have less than 10.
Oh, that's okay. That's a start. How about you?
About 25.
25?
67.
67. Wow. So we've got a big wide range, because sometimes when I do this seminar, I feel like our club, we had anywhere from 60 to 90 every year. So in order to be able to even do it, we had to be super organized. We had to have a lot of forms because we had 22 eager beavers, and those eager beavers were big all the way through Helping Hands, and they're still in Pathfinders, the biggest group in our Pathfinder Club. And so when you have 22 in one group, you can't just write on a piece of paper, okay, Mary's here tonight, Joe's gone, well, he better do this. It would be overwhelming. So I did create forms due to having such a large club that I was able to track that on a weekly basis with just a quick look. And I'm going to share those forms with you as well. But one of the things I always worry about is some of the things that I share are great for huge clubs like you guys have. But smaller clubs where you have 5 or 6 children, you don't need to go to all that much detail, right now. So then I always feel like I'm overwhelming those people while I'm trying to help the other people. So what I teach, some of it's going to be more for people with bigger clubs, some for more with smaller clubs. But you can pick and choose, and always keep in mind that one day your club may have 60 or 70 kids in it. So, but anyhow, what you'll want to do is you'll want to start your schedule. And this is just kind of how I did mine, but you can do yours however you want. But this is just kind of, I would pick what we were going to do, like what my outside activities were going to be. Now, with outside activities, a lot of that depends on your budget. It depends on if, like you said, if you want to charge per activity, or if you want to take up a, registration fee, which a lot of the registration fee goes for the honors, and the things that just are part of the club. It doesn't really even all go, you might want to keep that in mind too, it doesn't really go for, the activities. A lot of it goes for just the things that you have to, you're required to provide, the books, the honors, the pins, because investiture pins, they're pretty expensive. And we did the parent pins, and those are an extra cost too. So, that's really totally your choice, but you will have to have money, to buy things like that. But when you're figuring out what your schedule is going to be, one of the things is, advertise. As soon as you get your schedule done, advertise. It will make or break your club. There's people that came up to me and said, man, we were going to take a break this year, but my kids have seen all that stuff you advertise in the bulletin every week, and they read, and now there's no way do they want to take a break from Venture Club because they don't want to miss out. That's your big key. Get up front during announcements. Announce what you're going to do. Put some kids in Venture Club uniforms, even in the summer. Get them up there talking about how much fun they have. You get up there in your uniform. Talk about all the fun activities, all the fun family things. Boy, when you start doing that, and I started running it in the bulletin the first week of June, and I ran it every week in June, every week in July, right up to registration. All the fun activities, like come join us for kickoff. We're going to be sliding down the water slides. Come with us to the corn maze and on the hay rides, and bring your marshmallows to the bonfire at Mount Lore. Miss Brenda's coming for kickoff, or what else? We're going to sleep in the deep with the sharks. At everything, and put everything, make it the funnest story. Write it for the kids, because they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, Mom, there's no way I want to take a break. So make it fun. But what I would do is I would just put, I would put the things all the way across. And of course you can add eager beavers and little lambs. I had a separate one for them because, they do the chips and the stars. So I would have theirs on a different schedule, because it kind of gets to be a lot on one thing. But, the honors that are in the book, each book has specific honors that they'd like you to earn, and requirements, for each section. So this particular night, everybody did requirements. Then this particular night, everybody did those particular honors. So what I found people liked was allow 2 nights for an honor. Now, some people really need 2 nights for the honor, but other counselors, 1 night is all they want for the honor. So this is what I did. I would make my schedule up, and I would put everything that was required in the book. Absolutely everything that the book said, the honors they were required to earn for investiture, and the requirements. But then that had to be completed in order for the kids, to get invested. But I would tell my class counselors, you don't have to do the honors in the order that I have them. That's just the guideline. If you would rather do safety specialist first, Or if you would rather do feathered friends in the fall, or you'd rather wait and do feathered friends in the spring, or if you're doing something with the trees or the leaves, choose where you want it. If you want fall leaves or you want spring leaves, move it around. It's up to you. It doesn't matter where it's taught. That's totally up to you. And for the counselors that really like to have the kids earn a bunch of honor awards, what they would do, they would say, oh, but I can get the Friend of Animals done in one night. And then do you mind if I plug in an extra honor? And I would say, absolutely, plug in whatever you want, because remember, at the end of each of these books, it lists the extra honors that the Busy Bees could earn. And what it does is it lists those honors. And so these are extra honors that you can pick up that year. The only thing I would caution them about was be careful that when you're picking extra honors, that you're not going to pick something that they're going to be required to do down the road. Like, don't pick above what the grade level is, in other words. Busy Bees, it has the absolute ones in here. Like, let me show you one so you can actually see. Like this one, the health specialist. It shows you what the award's going to look like. That's a required one for Busy Bee. If you want to do that in one night so you can earn extra honors, then pick the extra honors from back here. Don't pick the extra honors from the back of the Sunbeam book, because they really need to stay within their group. And there's plenty of extra honors in the back of the book. Then when they get to Sunbeam, they have their Pacific honors, like their road safety. That's a fun one. You can bring a police officer in, bring some stickers. They love that if you can do that. And but then in the back of their book, it also lists a bunch of new honors, extra honors that they can get that aren't going to be in the next two books as requirements. These are just extra honors. And it's also going to list the extra honors that they could have earned when they were Busy Bees. So if you haven't, if you don't get all the extra honors in Busy Bees done, remember your Sunbeam year, those same extra honors are going to be in the back of your Sunbeam book. And it's the same every year for all of them. They're each going to have their Pacific honors, like in Helping Hands, they're going to do the Environmental Award. And by the time you get to the back of their book, not only are they going to have the extra honors they can earn, but they're going to have all the extra honors that everybody else could have earned throughout their time. So it's a pretty good guide, but so when you're doing your schedule, keep that in mind, that there are definite honors that each one needs to earn in the book and requirements with the extra honors in the back. And if your counselors want to add extra ones in, they don't want to take 2 nights, let them put extra ones in. If they can get it done in one night, that's good. And then let them pick some extra ones. The kids love earning honors. And it just kind of depends on the personality of your counselors. Some of them are real go-getters. Other ones it stresses out and they want 2 nights because they just couldn't, they wouldn't want it in one night. So that's just, that all works out fine like that. But then as for the one activity that you'll really want to work on is this very first one. And I have this, I can share this with you if you want it for a guideline. If you have your flash drive or give me your email address, I can share this schedule with you. But your registration, we always had registration. And I'm going to show you how we set up for registration, but we'll do that probably in the second half of the program. I have a little slideshow for you for that. And also one for how you do Pathfinder Adventure Club Sabbath, and how you do worships, just different ideas for doing worships, how you do lineups, and how you can do it with flags. And I've got all that I'll show you in the second half. But for this, for your kickoff, make your kickoff fun, and a lot of that would determine how much money you have. If you don't have a big budget, go to a park somewhere. Have everybody bring, a potluck picnic lunch. But pick a park where there's a playground or something for the kids to do. Because, kids are happy as long as they're together and they get to play. They don't always have to have fancy stuff. They just like to be together and be with other kids. And parents just like to be able to sit around and talk, and pick a safe place without a lot of water or danger, because sometimes parents sit around and talk so much they forget they have kids. And if you got 90 kids or 60 kids and there's you, it's going to be hard to watch all those kids. So pick something fun. We've done a lot of different things over the years. This particular year, we did water slides. We had big water slides brought in, and I had the kids, wear their bathing suits, and then we had everybody bring picnic potluck food, and it was a big success. The kids had a huge bunch of fun. Other years, we've had Ben Roy come. Kids like him. We had Brenda Wash come. But if you're going to have Brenda Wash come, you need to schedule her a year in advance and save a lot of money because it's not cheap. But she's very good, and she did an awesome presentation for the kids, and they loved it. They were so excited to think that Miss Brenda would come to their kickoff. It was really neat. And one year we had Bill Young come. I don't know if any of you know him. He was at one of the Pathfinder camporees, about almost 10 years ago down in Florida. But he also is one of the performers at the Dollywood stuff, and he does the fiddle. He's an Adventist. He does the fiddle. He's so silly, and he came and brought his fiddle and his violin, and he was hilarious. The kids really liked that too. He wears silly hats, and that was a lot of fun. There's just all kinds of kickoff things you can do. I don't even remember all the things we did. Do you remember anything else we did? Well, that wasn't a kickoff, but we did do that one time. Yeah, that was fun. And then one night, make sure you schedule a group picture. Put it in like on September 5. Make sure they all wear their uniforms or whatever, and have them all line up before they go to their classroom. Take a group picture with all your counselors and all your staff behind and them in the front. It is really neat. And then advertise that in your church bulletin. Use that on different things, because I'll tell you something. The more you can get your kids up front, the more you can advertise, and the more the people can see what a great bunch of kids they are, you'll just say one day, wow, where'd this money come from in our budget? It's amazing. I'm serious, because there'd be times I'd say, wow, where'd all this money come from? I mean, yeah, we did some things, but people just love seeing the kids, and people would have not, just donate money. Just turn it in a tithe check and write a venture club on it, and you'll just get some pleasant surprises. But if nobody knows about you, and they don't know about your activities, and they don't know who the kids are, then they're not going to know, that you may have needs. So do a group picture. And then I'll tell you a really neat fall thing to do is Cohutta's Mountain Lore. Have any of you ever been there? Have you ever Mount Lore? Well, if you have time this afternoon, you walk back by the gym, and if you go down the side of the gym, there's some steps that take you down, and there's a bridge. Cross over the bridge, then you'll be on the ball field. And then there's a gravel road. There's a bathhouse right here. There's a gravel road here. Walk down that gravel road, and you'll be at Mount Lore. There's a barn. There's a couple cabins. There's a fire pit. There's benches. And it's free to all Pathfinders and adventurers. So that's a wonderful thing. What we used to do toward the beginning of our year, we would go to Mount Lore. We'd start about 10 o'clock, and we would have worship. Everybody would bring their chairs. They'd bring their picnic lunch, and we would all sit around the campfire and sing. It's a good icebreaker and get to know everybody thing, and it's free. And then we would have one year, we did the seed honor. The seed honor is a real good one to do at that. And, as part of your worship service, there's lots of places kids can go get things. And they loved it. They made their little seed. They got their little seed honor. We sang, told a couple character building stories. And then everybody would get their picnic lunches out and eat, And then we would give families time in the afternoon just to do family things. If they wanted to go canoeing, if they wanted to go, there's a nice prayer walk. If you have time to go on that, you can get information at the front desk here of where the prayer walk is. Some families would do that. The creeks, the kids love getting in the creek down there by Mountain Lore. It's about this deep, but they loved it. They can splash in there, and the parents love sitting around talking. So we would just let the families have family activity in the afternoon. And then in the evening, we would come back about 5 o'clock, and we'd have a big roaring bonfire, and everybody would bring their own hot dogs, and they would roast hot dogs. And then we would have worship and sing some more. And then at about 7 o'clock, when it's starting to get kind of dark, we would have a hayride. And Cohutta will provide that. You just have to call. If I'm not mistaken, it was $75 for the hayride. And it is fun. And it's not just a 5-minute hayride. I'm wanting to say a good 20 minutes, wouldn't you say? A good 20 minutes. They take you all around. They take you down to the RV park. They take you out. They take you up and tell you the story about where they've seen bears. And the kids love it. It's a big, huge green wagon with hay. You fit a lot of people in it. And if you need it, when you have 60-something kids, they'll give you a couple rides, you know. But boy, you talk about a fun day, and then everybody goes home. And but call soon, and pick a weekend and call, because everybody's kind of starting to find out about it. But it is free to Pathfinders, and it is free to adventurers, and it's a lot of fun. In fact, we took our companions backpacking last year to Mount Laura, because there was a certain amount of walk-in. They carried their big old backpacks, and then they hung all the boys. They hung all their hammocks up under that barn, because of course it rained, because when Pathfinders goes camping it always rains. They hung their hammocks up. The little girls didn't want to sleep in hammocks, so they brought little tents and just put them under the shelter. It was so much fun. It's a really neat place. The kids love to run and play in those cabins. It's a really great thing. And there's another neat thing, a corn maze. You got to look out for corn mazes, because some of them have a real spooky theme. But there's a really nice one. Ooh, is that Reliance? Where was that?
It's just before a koi.
Just before a koi. And they'll work with you about Sabbath. What they would do for us, when we use them several times, they have a nature theme. There's no spooky, no monsters. Sometimes it's a state of Tennessee theme. Sometimes it's, so you want to definitely check that out, because you don't want to take them to some spooky place. But this one doesn't do spooky. They never have in the past. It's always nature-y stuff. And you get there, and they'll meet you with a hay wagon, and they'll take you back around the corn maze to this big open area where they have this really nice bonfire pit. And we would just eat there and sing and have our sundown worship. And then when Sabbath's over, they'll come back and pick you up and take you back to the front. And then families go through and pay their own way. And then everybody can wait for their friends and all go through together. But they're very nice about working with you about Sabbath and not charging you anything. And, they'll take you back to that area. And, and then you just, when Sabbath's over and they take you back, you pay. And you go through the maze. And that's a fun fall one to do. Those of you that have a skating rink, that's a fun thing. I usually try to do my activities, like if it's an outdoor activity, on a Sabbath or on a Saturday night, because people really like their Sundays at home. That's their only day at home to get things done. So I tried not to do a lot on Sunday. But the skating rink, in order to be able to rent a rink, you have to do it on a Sunday afternoon if you want it all to yourself. And we did want it all to ourselves, because some of the music they play is woo. So we would bring our own music, our own little kids' music,
Ours has a faith and family night, so they have an actual,
Okay.
like it's all Christian music.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it's
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah, it would be cheaper, yeah. So you could check on something like that. Used to be Risk Management wouldn't let you go skating, but now they will. Adventure Club Sabbath, that's a big highlight. If your pastor will allow you the 2 services, what we do is we would have the kids take up the offering, stand at the door, pass out bulletins. We would have them do the scripture, the prayer, and the special music. And how we would do it, I'm going to show you a video for that after we take a short break. But we would have them walk in carrying their class flags, right, in the service, and we would have them walk right up on the stage into the choir loft and sit there where everybody can see them. And then they participate, and the people love it. They take up the offering, they get their little violins out, or they sing, or whatever their talent is, play the piano. People love it. It really gives you exposure. It lets your church see what a bunch of great kids that they have. And then the special music, whatever special music that you're working on, you do it there. If you have something where one year we did, he's got the whole world in his hands, and this is a fun one to work on for something like that. You get a big blow-up ball of the world, and that's the world in his hands. You have one of the older kids hold that. Get a couple of those. And then we would get those clapping hands at the dollar store. He's got the whole world in his hands. The kids with the clapping hands would pull their hands up and clap with those. And then the wind and the rain. For the wind, you buy those pom-poms. You get them 2 for $1 at the dollar store and give some of the kids those. And the wind, they would wave those, makes wind sound. For the rain, I just bought these sticks that had lights on the end, and I hooked silver stuff on, just streamers that hung down. And some of them would have those. And you talk about kids having fun up there and parents in the audience loving it. And then when you would say the part about the whole world in his hands, the kids holding the world ball would throw it up and then catch it. It really was fun, and they loved practicing for that, and they loved performing it, and the church loved it. They thought that was really a fun thing. So your Adventure Sabbath is a big important thing, and then what we always did is had a potluck after Adventure Sabbath for just, the adventurers and their families, and we would invite our pastors as well and their families. But it's fun. The kids love to play, and the parents, like I said, love to sit and talk. And then what we plugged in, for those of you that are close to Southern, you can rent that pool for almost nothing. Sometimes you can rent it for nothing. Sometimes it's $1 a person. But it's a really cheap entertainment, and that can kind of like put the capper on your big day where you take them for a big pool party. A lot of times kids that want to get baptized, they want to get baptized on Adventure Club Sabbath as well. My little boy, that's what he did. So. And then we did a lock-in. That's another inexpensive thing. You can have everybody bring food and have a meal before, but then you've got a lot of cleanup, so you may want them to eat before they come. And what we do is we would just have fun. We would let them play. One year this particular year, we had Ben Roy come and do a little show for them. One time we had the Tennessee Aquarium come, and they brought some reptiles and different things, and the kids really liked that. And then we let them play, then have a little thing like that, then let them play again, and then we let them get in their pajamas, and of course the parents stay too. But what we do for the kids that they love more than anything, they get the tables out, and they put all the tables together, and they bring these big quilts, and they put quilts over them and put their beds under them, and they make tents. And they love it. And the parents bring their tents and put their tents up. Some parents just bring their cots and sleep just with no tent, but the kids love it. And then we usually bring the snacks out and put a movie in and let them watch a movie. They sit on top of their dens that they've built and watch the movie, and they really, really like that. That's another fun thing. And then we give them a little breakfast in the morning, and then off, on their way home. The Tennessee Aquarium's another good thing. It is very expensive, but I'll tell you, out of all of the things that we did in all the years, that was my most favorite. It was $50 a person, but you get there on Saturday night, and they take you into the big auditorium. They talk to the kids about everything, and then they take you all behind the scenes. You have the whole aquarium to yourself. They take you up to the top of the tanks and let you look in and see everything. They take you everywhere. And then they take you over to the IMAX, and they feed you pizza, and they get these sleep in the deep plastic cups that they get to take home with them. And then they show them the IMAX movie. And then they take them back to the aquarium, and they go back to the auditorium. They bring out a bunch of reptile-y things and snakes and some other things, but they don't let them down, so don't worry, because I don't like snakes. But anyhow, so they get to pet all these creatures, and they love it. And then they go down to the deep, under, where all the fish swim over, and that's where they make their beds. And it's a lot of fun. Then the next morning they get up, they feed them breakfast, and then they get to go feed all the otters. There's nobody there except them. They get to feed the otters. That was incredible. $50 a person, but if you plan it early, you can do fundraisers, and those that want to raise funds can. But I'll tell you, that was fun. We've also rented the Discovery Museum, a number of times we rented that. That's a lot of fun too. That's a Saturday night thing, but it wasn't as much fun as the aquarium, I didn't think. But the kids love it because you're the only people there at the aquarium, and they feed them pizza, but you're the only people there. So like I said, the parents can sit around and talk. They don't have to worry about their kids, and the kids just run all over the place. And it is a lot of fun. So, and then, of course, the Adventure Family Fun Weekend or Adventure Family Fun Day, depending on which year it is. That's an awesome thing, too. It's a lot of fun. The kids love that. That gives them a little bit of a taste of Pathfinders. And then your investiture. Make your investiture really fun for the kids so that they end on a really good note. We do it similar to how we do the Adventure Club Sabbath, where they come walking in with their flags, and then we invest them, and then we do a slideshow. The one that you were watching when you came in, that was the last slideshow for the last year we were directors. Boy, they don't care if it's 3 hours, they sit there because they love, of course you don't want it that long, 15 maybe minutes, but they love it because they are laughing so loud and they see themselves and their friends up there, and it reminds them of all the fun they had throughout the year and all the neat things they got to do. And then what we always did is we did a surprise celebration. Once again, that depends on what your budget is, but some years we would black out the windows on the gym. Nobody could see in, and that was a big thing on Sabbath. They would be trying to see through that paper or trying to figure out a way to get in that gym so they could see what was set up in there. Some years we would rent a bunch of blow-ups, and we would hire, especially before an Oshkosh camporee, we would hire pathfinders to come man those stations and to make cotton candy so that your staff can actually relax and enjoy themselves. And the pathfinders are always looking for a way to make money for their camporees. So we would hire them to do that. And also for ground control, as the kids, try to get in all these jumpers, you don't want any injuries. So we would do that. And but one year we decided, let's do something that we've never done before. So we blacked out the windows, but we didn't put anything in the gym, and the kids didn't know that. And so after investiture, they're all sitting there, and that's when your ward officer really comes in handy, because she's sitting at the table to take your uniforms up. And we told the kids, we said, well, what do you think's in the gym this year? Oh, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. And so then Carl went back to the back room, and he came out with a bus stop sign. And he said, do you guys know what this is? And they're like, huh? A bus stop sign? And we said, yeah, this is a bus stop sign. We're going on a bus tonight. And they're like, what, really? And so we said, to get your bus ticket, you have to go see Miss Jamie at the uniform table. You turn in your uniform, and she'll give you a ticket, and you have to have that ticket to get on the bus. And then once you're on the bus, we're going to hand your mom and dad an envelope. I learned, don't give mom and dad the envelope till the kids are on the bus, because some parents can't keep a secret. And they tell their kid who tells the kid, and a few kids find out. So we learned, don't give mom and dad the envelope. Mom and dad are coming too. You want them there. You don't want to take 60, 70 kids by yourself. So when the kids all load up, they lined up there, and then the Southern bus comes. You can rent the Southern bus. It's not horribly expensive, and if one of your parents happens to be a bus driver, then you don't have to pay the bus driver. That was, So the kids line up, and then they get on this bus, and it's hilarious driving to where you're going. We're going to Disney World? Yeah, no, we're taking you to Disney World. But anyhow, there's different places. We went to the Y, where they have that big jungle gym. We went and did that. You can go to Pump It Up, which doesn't exist anymore, but there's a new place, that jumping place, Superfly, yeah. We had it take them down to the Discovery Museum, where we rented it for the evening and served them pizza. There's all kinds of places you can have that bus take them, but they love it. They have a lot of fun with that. So anyhow, that's kind of what you want to do about your schedule. And make sure after you do your schedule that you contact your church secretary and make sure that those dates are all available. Most churches will, Pathfinders and Adventurers have the first bid on the dates on the buildings. I don't know how your church works. Be sure you get those off-site activities booked quickly. Get your handout, and make sure that you take your finalized this to the church board, because they have to vote on it to be covered for church insurance, however that works. So
Going to the church board, I think as a director, you also are a church member.
you're a church, yeah,
So you
yeah.
go and find out what the financial status of the club is.
Right, yes, definitely. Do you guys want to take a little break? Yeah,
I have a question.
sure.
I was going back to when you were talking about the honors. Say a club like mine that's very small, with just 9 kids, do they have to do all the honors in the book, or is there a minimum amount of honors they have to do?
There's not a lot of them in the book. Yeah, what's in the book's really supposed to be done for investiture, because there's minimum honors in here that are required, in fact, very few. And then the little requirements, they're just character building requirements, pictures that they color. But yeah, really the requirements for investiture are the book. Yeah,
Book out there, I've noticed that if you Google Adventure Awards,
a new book.
it's like a lot of pages of honors on it.
Yeah.
So you get the questions to work through, and if you Google what PDF
would you guys like to take a little break for like 5 minutes? Does anybody want to? Okay, yeah, take a break, and then I'm going to get my slideshows here ready to show you when you come back.